We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Kinslinger,
Here.
Havlet,
Here.
Jerza,
Here.
Osterloo, Schmitz,
Here.
Schurz, Sunny, Dosher. We have a quorum.
I would hope there's no conflicts of interest on this one today. Is there any to declare?
Well, I'm going to do number 9. I've been involved in that project, not this particular thing, but I think I'll just kind of bow out of that one.
So we would need to table it. Do you have a direct conflict there, Larry?
Not really, no.
I think you'd be okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay? Okay.
I think you're okay.
you're not doing any work on this project at all with it. I'd say-
No, it's just the original project before,
Yeah.
that was what I was involved in. This particular one, I've never been contacted on it, so.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
Yeah.
We can have you
Okay.
on that.
All
All
right.
right, so none to declare. We'll move on to approving the agenda that's in front of us.
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Anybody in the audience?
I'd like to ask that ours be tabled until next meeting. It's number 7 of my Clarkson's because we still haven't received our notification in the mail. It's supposed to be coming, but it's not there yet.
Okay, I think we can leave it on the agenda though and table it if that's an issue. So let's go ahead and approve it as it is, and then we'll deal with that when we get to it. Any further discussion? All right, we can go voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion carried. The minutes are in front of us from the previous meeting. Any corrections to make? Hearing none, we're ready for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next meeting would be April 14th. That's a few weeks, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Got that Monday in the month.
3 weeks.
Set the date.
Second. Moved and seconded that we set the date, April 14th. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right, so the first agenda item is a conditional use permit. Michael Larson has applied for a conditional use permit for 2 family dwellings on his parcel located at 408 North Foster. And the legal description's in the packet. Said real property is zoned R2 Single Family Residential District.
Yep. Notices were sent out to neighbors, published in the paper, signed, posted. However, there was one neighbor that didn't receive their letter, like everybody else did. As soon as I found out that they didn't receive it, I sent out another one. Obviously, it's still in the mail to get there. I remember typing their name on it because I knew the connection there, and then I just typed over with the next address on there. They are aware of the meeting, obviously, because they're here. They've talked to me before today as well. But like I said, it's published. We've got notices out in front for sign posted there as well. There were 3 letters that were returned. 2 were in favor. 1 had some comments about drainage and setbacks that made the packet. There were 3 that didn't make the packet, which you have in front of you. 2 that were opposed, and 1 was in favor of it. You had Austin Van Horn was in favor. Larry Weiser was opposed, and then Winters was opposed to it as well. During the review for this meeting, the applicant would like to have a second dwelling on his property. He would like to use it for long-term rentals, probably for nursing, traveling nurses. Since it would be a principal use, it would have to meet the 25-foot rear yard setback as well. We have drawn in at 3. It was something that was discovered after the fact. So it would have to be 25 unless you were to come in and ask for a variance to do it at that point. So side yard would be 3, rear yard would have to be 25. It's not drawn correctly on here for that. It could be garage with living quarters up above it. The applicant's here. If you have any questions for him, I can answer any questions that you have for me as well.
So let's first address the concern with not getting a letter out. Justin, is there any issue from your perspective?
No, as you can see, the applicant or the neighbor did actually get notice. It wasn't through the mail, but otherwise, this notice requirements in the ordinance were actually met.
Okay.
So I don't believe that there's a concern there.
Okay, thanks. So we are here to talk about a conditional use permit, not necessarily a plan review and where it goes on the site or anything like that.
Correct.
It's just a conditional use permit. So we're really here discussing, does this lot fit two-family dwellings? Is that an appropriate use of the lot in this zoning? I guess the applicant is here. Would you like to add anything to it?
I would like to speak.
Come on up, address the council, not council,
Right here?
commission. Yeah, state your name because we're on YouTube.
I'm Lori Kent. My husband Dave and I are here to oppose this. You do not have a letter from us stating our opposition. How do we handle that?
You can speak to it at this time.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be a letter.
Okay. We are here to speak against Mike Larson's application for a conditional use permit for two-family dwellings on his property. We are in a single-family district and want it to be kept that way. We are opposed to the building he is planning to build and are very disappointed in the way the situation has unfolded. We would not have known anything about this zoning meeting if Kristen Winters, our next-door neighbor, had not talked to me Thursday evening about the letter she received from the city of Mitchell regarding the conditional use permit. Dave and I did not receive a letter and in fact still have not received that letter. After I talked with Kristen, I called Mark at the city office on Friday morning and he did apologize twice and accepted responsibility for the oversight. He mentioned that a legal notice was printed in the Daily Republic. I then found that and read the legal notice. It, however, does not say anything about the building or descriptions about it. It explains nothing except that he wants to switch to a two-family dwellings on his lot. This has been a difficult situation for us, in part because as we stand here today, we still aren't totally sure what's going on, and we're not afforded the opportunity to research as thoroughly as we would have liked to due to the timelines. The fact that our letter will be delivered after this meeting has been held is unacceptable. We were told that even though this is an unfortunate situation, the zoning commission meeting could not be postponed, or that it couldn't be tabled, which seems kind of unacceptable and unfair. In the future, perhaps these letters should be either hand-delivered in this situation or sent by certified mail to protect not only homeowners, but you and the U.S. Zoning Commission and the city. Kristen showed me the proposed drawing, so I have looked at that. The drawing shows that the proposed building would be a few feet from it. It's kind of hard to see from here to take pictures, but that means that we have, if that were to be built, we would have, because of the machine shed next to it, which is about 30 by 40, owned by Mr. Knorr, that would mean we'd only have a few feet of vision going to the west. It would completely block our view of anything to the west of our home, and my husband and I both have decided we're kind of nerdy. We like to stand and look out our patio door every night to see sunsets, watch things that are going on. If he builds that, we will not be able to see anything with a 3-stall garage the whole distance of our lot and the living quarters above. Mark did text me a short time after I talked with him by phone and said there would be a 25-foot setback rather than the 3-foot. I wasn't sure where that setback meant, if that meant from our line or if that meant from the pole barn. But 25 feet, we have a 32-foot backyard, so that still seems pretty close, especially with rotating renters. And he said they would be visiting nurses, so it would be a rotating thing. Some questions we have, and I'd appreciate answers if I could. Are those specs submitted by Mr. Larson? That drawing, does that come from him, or is that from you guys? Where does that? Okay, so that's incorrect because of the 3-foot thing. In fact, that's even encroaching on the 5-foot easement. So how do you handle that when incorrect things are sent out? Just, we figure it out when we get here?
I guess I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, okay, so he's got that showing that there's only going to be a 3-foot thing. Does that happen often, that the incorrect information gets sent out to people? Because that's going to change how you vote on something.
And that's where we said at the beginning of this that it would be a 25-foot, not 3-foot. to the
But
rear.
knowing ahead of time, does anyone from the city verify that information before as it gets sent in, or is that just kind of we get here and we figure it out? Kind of get here and figure it out. Okay. What's the height limit of that building?
in R2, because it's a principal use, it's 2.5 story or 35 feet. And this proposed one is at 23 feet.
Okay. Right, and will there be dirt work that may affect drainage?
I'm sure the applicant would have to do some dirt work for the project, as in any construction, and they would have to be responsible for any drainage that they cause, any issues.
Okay. Is there a fire code for distance between buildings?
Yep, and this would meet that code.
What is that code? Because it's only going to be like 5 feet from Mr. Nor, right?
The south property setback is 3 feet from the property line. That would meet the setback that's required.
So what is the legal fire thing then? Is it 3 feet? Is it 5 feet? What is it?
John, do you want to answer that?
It'd be Mr. Doherty, whatever Mr. Doherty's setback is, unless he's a zero, he would have had to require a firewall in that building years and years ago when it was built, if it was done.
Well, he owned all of the land. He owned Mr. Larson's land at the time, so would have you done that?
I don't know who owned the property at that time.
Mr. Nor did.
And then he would also, Mr. Larson would also be required to be 3 feet, and that meets our ordinance.
Okay.
So feasibly, if they were to build it new, right now, the overhangs could be 6 feet apart and it would be legal.
Okay. If future utility work needs to be done, for example, replacing the 2 utility poles that are back there, will there be enough clearance for Northwestern Public Service to get their equipment back there? Because there's at least one pole that they would have to come from that direction. There's no way to get in from our yard or from Kristen's. Talking to be light, electrical pole.
And where are those located back here?
Between Mr. Nor's building, kind of on the northwest corner of that, and our house.
So up here?
No. See where Mr. Nor's building is? It would be, yeah, it'd be just above right about right there.
So the setback that would be required is 25 feet from the rear property line to the building.
So they can get a truck in there to do it? Okay. When Kristen and I talked with Mike on Saturday, I asked why he was building on that spot instead of elsewhere on his property. He said he was going to tear down his old garage and then could, and I quote, "have all that open area." Obviously, Mr. Larson would prefer to have the new building next to the property line by us, which is much closer. Well, with a 25-foot setback, it might be an even split between our house and his. It was also upsetting to know that he ignored that 5-foot easement thing, and I'm quite sure he knew about that. When Kristen asked him what his plans were for the area between the garage, if it goes 25 feet, and our property, he said he planned, and I quote again, to put stuff back there like he currently has by his other 2 sheds and garage. This consists of logs, lawnmower equipment stuff. I asked why he couldn't put those in the garage, and his answer was that he already has plans for those 3 stalls, one for his vehicle, one for the shop, and one for the tenants. Our neighborhood is currently zoned as a single-family district. We would request that you make no exception to this zoning at this time. We are strongly opposed to a variance for a 2-family dwelling. As we stated previously, we were not afforded the opportunity to adequately prepare by perhaps taking pictures or contacting you guys to come out and look at it. I don't know, is there your contact? I don't want to, you shouldn't be bugged, you're getting no pay for this, but is your contact somewhere available, like an email?
It'd be Mark, right?
Just Mark's, but I mean, for you guys, it
Yeah,
isn't?
He works with us.
Okay, so since I didn't really find out until Friday, I couldn't get a hold of you guys, I would have liked to have had to talk to each individually, but we couldn't. In closing, I do want to thank you. I know that you guys don't get paid for this. I thank you for your work, and I just want to state again, we are opposed to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission? Okay.
Mark, what's the history of two dwelling properties in Mitchell? I mean,
I'm sure there's a lot of them that we don't know about that are getting rented out, but it's a complaint-driven basis until we find out for something like this. So you'd be going through the process the correct way to do this. I had discussions with the applicant, and at first it was, but if it's a mother-in-law suite, you would not need a conditional use for 2-family dwelling if it was his mother-in-law that was living in there, because that's still considered family. He did come up front and say, I would probably be doing long-term leasing to traveling nurses. Well, right there makes it the need for a conditional use for that.
I have two questions for you. Will there be a plan review at any point, or this is a house, so this is it? This is the one chance we get?
This would be the chance that you have
Okay.
for this.
If he were to subdivide this property down the middle, east to west, so you got 110 feet north to south, could he not put that house on that second property to the north and not need a conditional use?
As long as all setbacks were met and the width of the lot and lot
Area.
maximum, minimum would be met as well, yeah. He'd be going for variances then instead of a
Mm-hmm.
conditional use, unless it was all met.
Can I just ask for clarity? You were just talking about if he built it on the north side of his house?
Yeah, if he split this property into two properties, then he could put that building on that second property
On the north side?
and not have to come here for conditional use, yeah.
So as far as the rental aspect, are we looking at, one unit, one person? I mean, what are we looking at as far as, you're gonna have one, healthcare, traveling individual in that at a time? Is it gonna be 2, 3, 4? What's that look like?
Mike, do you want to speak to?
You bet, sure.
Yeah, come on up to the podium, please. State your name.
My name is Mike Larson. I live at 408 North Foster. The question, as I understand it, is what is my intent for the rental occupancy? I have an apartment building downtown in the 309 North Waller building. I happen to have a conversation with a traveling nurse that has worked different cycles through the Avera Queen of Peace Hospital, 3 and 6 months at a time. And she was asking if I had any apartments available, and I said no, but we got talking about what she does and where she works. And I said, well, I live right across the street from that. It's actually, this is something that I actually could do, city permitting, is put a small efficiency apartment on my property that would allow her or others like her to literally walk across the street to work. Generally, those tenants, and she in particular happens to work or she lives in Lincoln, Nebraska. She drives home on the weekend. She's there for the week. They just crash, as you would assume, the traveling nurses do. So that's the type of thing that I have in mind at this point. But I would like to point out, I wouldn't want that to preclude, for example, renting it to a nursing student over at the Wesleyan or something. I'd like to correct just one thing, which was the 5-foot permanent easement on the east side of that lot. That was allowed for in the drawings, and I am aware of that. But it doesn't really matter in this case, since there's a 25-foot setback requirement. Did I answer the question, committee? What else can I comment on?
Why that location and not, say, up in the front yard in front of the other garage? What's the hardship for placing it back there?
Well, I don't think that is reasonable in terms of me using my property as I see fit, assuming that I'm complying with other code and requirements. I can comment specifically on the Kent's complaint about a lack of view of the sunset, if the committee would like to hear that. Specifically, they haven't had a view to the west
Yeah, we
for,
have.
for the entire time.
Yeah, you've had crap back there before, I know that. Yeah, you've had your
First.
boats, your stuff,
Right.
but we haven't been able to see through.
When I bought the property 15 years ago, there were a lot of trees back there. I could not see from my property to the Kent's property. And so it wasn't until I had called, excuse me, that I had hauled many loads of brush and bush and trees and trimmings out of there before that view came to be. And then over the last year and a half now, I've done much more work back there, primarily removing very tall trees. I have pictures of those if the committee would like to view them. So the trees that have been back there range anywhere from about 40 to 80 or 90 feet. well over the height of the machine shed that's back there, double the height easily of that machine shed that were in that fence line. So it wasn't until these last year and a half, when I started preparing to put that garage back there, that all of that brush and all those trees were cleared out. So there hasn't been much of a view back
Have you
there.
ever stood in our kitchen before?
No, ma'am, I have not. What does that
Okay,
have to do with
probably
anything?
that'd probably be explained, yeah.
It's my property. I think I should be able to use it as, is convenient for me. I don't think it's my responsibility to provide neighbors around me with a view, particularly since one wasn't there before. I'm not seeing a problem,
Okay,
especially if I comply with all the setbacks. And we can certainly do that.
okay.
Drainage is not an issue. I'll take care of that.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mike?
No.
All right, thanks. All right, well, it's up to us, I guess.
Hey, this is Jersey. Let me make a quick comment. Growing up in Mitchell, I'm thinking back in the early 60s, lived over on the east side of town, about the 400 or 500 block of East Hanson. And my neighbor had a garage in their backyards where their grandfather lived up above. And it was very convenient for him. And the style of everything kind of went together. It was a brick house, the garage was brick, and it kind of fit in. So I think this kind of thing has probably happened a lot in Mitchell, maybe still does. So in terms of the concept, I certainly don't have any problem with the concept, but in terms of meeting the setbacks and kind of keeping the same style of the house or something so it isn't like a metal building or something, that I think that would be objectionable. But the concept I'm good with, as long as setbacks are made, and that way you have enough room to deal with drainage if there is some issue with drainage that you have to work out. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
A concern I have is fire department access to that. If that property needed servicing, it'd be hard to get to. And if he's got a way to get a property divided and get a house that doesn't need a conditional use permit on that same property that we're talking about now, I would prefer that myself over stick it in the back corner.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. That certainly makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Really does. Yeah, that's important.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, hearing none, I'm ready for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve it. Any conditions on that motion? No? Hearing none?
There's
Okay.
a plan review, correct?
There's no plan review. This
Plan
is,
review
Well,
would
he
be
needs
done
to,
with the-
he needs to meet the setback.
Yeah,
yes,
building
that.
permit.
Be a plot plan.
It doesn't come before us again.
Correct.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve it, no conditions other than what the normal process is. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
That's a 25-foot setback there, right?
Yeah, it'd be 25 to the rear.
Yes, it still has to meet all the requirements. Okay. Hearing no comments or questions on the motion, we are ready for a vote. I'm going to go roll call, please, Mark.
Havlet,
Yes.
Jerza,
Yeah.
Schmitz,
Yes.
Genslinger.
No.
Motion carried 3-1. This will be heard at City Council Board of Adjustment on April 7th at 6 p.m.
Did you hear
Yep,
that?
I got that.
All right.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for your time, guys.
Next item on the agenda is a plat for Maui Farms, plats of lots 2 and 3 of Block 2 of Maui Farms, second edition. The rest of the legal description's in the packet.
Applicant would like to plat off a couple more lots. That is following the master plan in the PUD area. This is up by Maui Drive and Sand Street. It's for storage sheds up in that area. Meets requirements.
Pretty straightforward.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plats as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a plan approval for CJ's Bar Casino located at 2700 North Main Street at zoned highway-oriented business district. Mark?
Applicant's not able to be here. She had someone call in sick, so she had to fill some shifts at business. In your packet, I'm giving you what we did for when the original plan was approved, just because that's all we have at this point in time. We haven't done any flyovers or anything for new GIS. So you have Larry's drawings for when he originally worked on this. Like he said, he's not doing anything with it right now. I just wanted you to have something to be able to see. But she is looking to build onto the east side of their business and put a 20 by 20 covered concrete patio out there. Since it's highway business, it has to come in front of this board for your approval to do such a thing.
Covered but not enclosed.
Correct.
All right, any questions?
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Larry seconded it. Any further discussion on the motion? Guess we're ready to vote then. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a plat for GO Wild Oak LLC. We're looking at Lot 1 of Tract M. Legal descriptions in the packet.
As you see in front of you, I gave you an updated version of this plat. The legal description didn't change, the boundaries didn't change or anything like that. On this one, they added Wild Oak Club Edition, I believe it was. They didn't have club on there, it was just Wild Oak Edition. And also in the owner certificate, they were missing an L for Wild. WL is just, actually I believe it's the D, WL, WIL. So they updated that to make it correct. So that's what's different from what's in the packet to what this is. So they're parceling off Lot 1 of Tract M. It has access off of Homer Court there. I'm assuming it has something to do with the sale as to who's going to retain which portion of it. I don't know that answer, but it does meet all requirements for platting purposes. And answer any other questions that you have.
Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second.
With that motion, can it be as
Amended?
as amended?
As amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat as presented and amended. Any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience? All right, we're ready to vote. Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are you there, Larry?
Yes, aye.
All right. We have to get a fourth one in.
Yeah, okay.
So everybody was aye. We have no opposed. I should say all opposed, nay. All right, now motion carried. Next item on the agenda is Plat GL Wild Oak LLC. We're looking at lots 1, 2, and 3 of Tract 3 in the Backland Edition. Legal descriptions in the packet.
Again, you have a revised one in front of you. Things that changed on this one. Again, the owner certificate was amended to add that D in there. I don't even have the updated one on my screen in front of me. The one that you have in front of you has ingress egress along with this cart path easements. That way, talking with DOT, there is only one approved DOT approach into this, along this roadway. There is another approach that is down here on Lot 3, but it's not a DOT approved, so really your access to Lot 1 and Lot 3 would be this 20-foot ingress egress going onto Lot 2 and getting to Lot 3 or getting to Lot 1. And then also the other change on this was in the certificate for the road authority. I'll actually pull it up so I can show you what it says. It was changed, just the access to East First Avenue to Lot 2 is approved. Any other access would have to be approved by DOT. So, those are a couple minor changes. I should have stated in the previous one as well, they have to go to the county for their approval too, because it's outside city limits, but it is our zoning jurisdiction. Can answer any questions that you have for this.
Is there any concern from the city folks for egress, ingress situation there? No? All right. Any other questions? Ready for a motion?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat as presented and amended. Is there any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience? All right, we're ready to vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Is there any other business to come before this board? I was just gonna ask how that, the rework of the zoning code was coming along.
It's coming along good. We're gonna have our 4th meeting, next Monday. We're finally into actual, zoning districts and looking at those now, because it took a while to get through definitions and everything like that.
Sure. Good.
It's been very good conversations during the week.
All right. We're ready for public input. If you need to address the board on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Seeing no one coming forward, we are adjourned. Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see, I'll be up there here, in about, 5, 6 days.